President Trump meeting with King Charles today to discuss Iran, a conflict that the United Kingdom has refused to help America fight. And now the White House is looking at a new proposal from Tehran to open the Strait of Hormuz. Welcome back to the second hour of the Big Money Show. I'm Dagen McDowell, along with my marvelous co-host.
Darling.
That's as good as I'm going to get with darling, sweetie darling. And with us for this hour, Fox Business's Lauren Simonetti and
hello.
Michael Lee.
Cheerio.
Strategy founder, Michael Lee.
Darling.
The White House says that the president is discussing an Iranian proposal that would open the Strait of Hormuz in the U.S. blockade and suspend nuclear talks. But could Tehran be close to breaking under pressure from the blockade? The regime's finances are drying up, oil exports are plummeting, and the country is said to be just weeks away from running out of space to store its oil, forced to then shut in its oil wells. So a deal does not appear to be around the corner. President Trump is reportedly skeptical of this new offer, and America's red lines have not changed.
What do you see as the main roadblock to an agreement with the Iranian government?
Well, other than the fact that the country's run by radical Shia clerics, that's a pretty big impediment. The other is that they're deeply fractured internally.
Reports do indicate Iran has offered to open the straits, but they want to delay conversations about their nuclear program. Would this be acceptable to the Trump administration?
Well, again, I'm not going to speculate about the president's decision-making on this matter. Suffice it to say that the nuclear question is the reason why we're in this in the first place.
I will just update with it's not quite breaking news, but it happened probably in the last half hour. There is a Japanese-owned VLCC, a very large crude carrier, the Idemitsu Maru. It's carrying about 2 million barrels of oil, of Saudi oil, that has made its way through the Strait of Hormuz. It's the first oil supertanker owned by a Japanese company to leave the Persian Gulf since the war started. Did it make arrangements with the United States to do so? Did it coordinate with Iran in any way? I don't know. Lauren might, but this is significant.
I don't know. I've looked at the path that this vessel has taken. It's carrying Saudi oil, and it hugged the Iranian shoreline, which makes it appear as it went through the toll lane that Iran has set up. I do not know that, but if you look at the path, it shows it. We do have the imagery of that. Who, if any, would Japan coordinate with? Would it be Iran or would it be Washington? We don't know. We do know that we have some movement in that area. As we found out overnight, the first LNG tanker finally crossed the Strait of Hormuz. That hadn't happened in 8 weeks. So some movement seems to be happening. The issue for Iran, and this is what the president was speaking
Whose was that
about.
LNG?
The LNG tanker was, it was called the Mubaraz, Liberian flagged, carrying Emirati LNG, and right now she is sitting near India and Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Okay, so as we try to engineer all this, what do we know? What do we think we know based on all these satellite images that we're getting? There are 21 big ships loaded with Iranian oil parked in the Strait of Hormuz. They can't move because of the U.S. blockade. This is a problem for two reasons. They're full of oil.
Yeah.
So they're no longer floating storage for the regime, right? And then they can't sell that oil to empty themselves because of the U.S. blockade. So what Tehran has did is they took two 30-plus-year-old vessels out of storage and they loaded them at Karg Island. But where can all this stuff move? We don't know. That's why most analysts agree it's about 2 weeks before they have to shut in their wells, maybe for good.
And that's why Iran is proposing reopening the strait.
So they can sell their oil.
Right, and then kicking down the road discussions about its nuclear program. I was looking.
Can I have a question?
Go ahead.
Do you want to ask me one?
No, go. Just.
What do we make of the U.A.E. quitting OPEC? So, they said that they're going to leave May 1. This is after 6 decades of membership in OPEC that I think is led by Saudi Arabia. They said that this war has made them rethink geopoliticals, made them rethink the energy market, and that they said that the disruption caused by the war created an opportune time for this move. They said it's a long review of all of our strategies, and it's not going to hugely impact the market because the market is undersupplied. So, and I'm posing this as a question because I don't know. Part of me is thinking it's nice that OPEC is starting to maybe free up a little bit if the UAE is leaving. Remember, they've had a hold on production cuts, caps, setting the market. Is it good that that isn't there anymore, or is this more of a dismantling of OPEC that could take on Iran? And I don't know. And I'm curious what everyone thinks of this.
So I really want to know what you think, but can I say something first? I'll get my dumb idea out there, and then you can tell me why I'm wrong. So we are friends with the UAE, correct?
Correct.
Closer by the day. Okay, so we're becoming friends with the UAE. The UAE are among the most aggressive in terms of Gulf states saying, let's finish Iran. Am I right about that? I think that they've been among the most aggressive, okay? So you've got UAE, closer friends with us, leaving OPEC, which I would argue historically has not been a very good friend of ours.
Correct.
I think this is great news. I think it is part of the realignment of geopolitics in the direction of American interests. And I want to know what you think.
What's stupid about that? I think you're right on. I mean, Trump back
I don't know.
in
I just, you know what you're talking about.
2018 said to the UN, he accused OPEC of ripping off the United States. This, if the UAE is the first one to go, who's next? What does that mean to the power hold that the Mideast has on oil production? At the same time, and this is going to take a while, you have dozens of vessels empty headed to the U.S. Gulf Coast. And I was speaking with the shipper yesterday, and he put through several vessels willing to pay upwards of $3 million, if not $4 million, to get their oil to Asia by going through the Panama Canal, bypassing the Middle East entirely. So we are starting to see oil flows and the power center change. It's just not going to happen overnight.
The UAE leaving OPEC is actually not related to the war with Iran. It is related to the UAE, and if you read Javier Blas's piece on this in Bloomberg, it's related to the UAE just wanting to pump more oil regardless of the price and not be constrained by this cartel.
Awesome.
And this has been ongoing as Indonesia left in 2016, Qatar 2019, Ecuador 2020, Angola in 2023. And then you also have a fractured OPEC in Venezuela. Venezuela is now directly, inextricably linked to the United States. And so it is an existential crisis for OPEC that has been happening even before the war.
Yeah, well, you know, the UAE, a little bit cagey. I think they tried to strong-arm Scott Bessent by saying, hey, we need a dollar swap line because we're running short of U.S. dollars. And if you don't give us one, we're going to start trading oil in Chinese yuan. And it's like you're running...
Good luck with that.
Yeah, well, you know, you basically have a bottomless pit over there in terms of like the amount of energy you can sell them. So I like Dagen's point, but I think time will tell whether this plays out as a net benefit for the U.S. I think decentralization and more free market versus cartel, it should work out to be a net benefit. But it's, look, I mean, like it's a haven over there for everybody. So as soon as the Russia-Ukraine war started, all the Russians moved out of everywhere else and set up shop for all their offshore money in Dubai. All these, you know, radical clerics have their offshore accounts in Dubai. It's no longer Switzerland. So we'll see how that plays out. But look, Iran, you know, they can talk as tough as they want. They've suffered over $200 billion worth of damage. They're, you know, who knows how much revenue and oil revenue they've lost since the start of this war with closing, with, you know, the closing of the strait, the shipping lanes not really being open. And they probably have more than a couple weeks because like they can cut production, they can do other. I was reading somebody talking about other forms of storing it, but they don't have forever.
Trains.
If you
Trying out
listen,
to China.
if you listen to the guys that fought in Afghanistan, they'll say like the Taliban used to say to them like, "You have the watches, we have the time." Meaning, if they could just outlast the U.S., then they'll be there. Like the Iranians don't really. They don't have as much time as they're talking about. They're saying that it can go on for months. And over here, we've absorbed this $100 a barrel of oil pretty well. I mean, we don't want it to continue, but it can. And the political fallout from going in has already been felt. And given kind of how well the military operations have gone, you're kind of already on the rebound. So if this, I think the Iranians are watching too much CNN. As to thinking the position that the U.S. is in, I think they're winning. They're watching CNN, thinking they're winning the war, and not really facing reality.
Can I just add something really, really quickly? I'm talking to the Energy Department now, and Chris Wright, speaking in Croatia today, said a safe shipping corridor is needed, and they can set this up quickly. If they do so, they're not so much worried about the undersea mines. They could figure out a way to get a safe corridor open, and then you can quickly get ships and vessels moving energy products and grain and whatever needs to be moved through the strait.
Sorry,
So
who's the
they're
they in that?
Chris Wright.
Well,
Energy
the United
Secretary.
States is the they.
That's what I wanted. This wasn't talking about ending the blockade and working with Iran. This is us doing it by ourselves
That's
with the
how I'm reading
blockade
his
on Iran.
comments.
Okay.
And that's fascinating. I would
How
expect.
do you do that, though?
You become the cop of the Hormuz, is what you do.
The crossing
And-
guard.
Well, it takes a lot more than just crossing guard. Yep.
We're showing yields on the screen. The 30-year, the only thing to Mike Lee's comment about we're on the rebound, and generally I would agree with that, except the 30 years near the highs that it's been all year at a 396. And that's just another, we've talked about the rebound in equities, the consumers holding up, and I agree with all of that, and I said that an hour ago. But then I look at the yield space, and we just have to watch it.
It's also the 2-year. Take a look at, can we put the 2-year up really quickly? It was at 384. Now it's at 385. At the start of the war, it was at 338. This is all excess borrowing by the United States to fund this war, funded with debt. And if you're going to continue to loan money to the United States of America, you're going to demand a higher payout on that debt. How much more is my question. That's my take.
So what I thought was interesting about Kevin Warsh was looks like now he's going to make it through. Is that he is all for looking at alternative sources for inflation, saying the government's methods are somewhat outdated and lagging. So again, you look at trueflation. EJ and Tony talks about it all the time. I talk about it. 1.83% year over year CPI. And he made mention that he thinks the actual inflation is lower than what's advertised. So I think rates on the front end are going lower. That doesn't necessarily mean the 10-year or the 30-year are going to move much, but you start moving the front end down. You enter a very sort of Goldilocks situation with a steep yield curve, which promotes lending, fixes a lot of things in the U.S. I'm not so worried about our treasury.
You're saying if you can if you can borrow at under the inflation rate, but still keep your inflation, a little inflation is good because you can inflate away the debt. That's in part of what you're saying. We've got to jump.
Okay.
You can jump back in and disagree with me later on.